Okay, this character analysis is based on Xerxes from the movie 300. I know many of you, and including myself, enjoy that movie very much. And in particular, we're going to be looking at the clip, which there's a link in the description, when Xerxes is having a face-off with Leonidas right towards the end. And it's only like a minute long. Now, line by line, Xerxes is oozing narcissism. He tries to start off with making a bargain. When it fails, he moves to making threats and showboating his dominance. His entrance is already not flamboyant, but grand, shall we put it. And when Leonidas refuses to take this bargain, he is called defiant for not obeying. Xerxes then tells him to imagine, so we're talking about perception, what will happen to his enemies when he would gladly kill any one of his own men for victory. So this is basically saying, like, he must win and he'll sacrifice his own people. So geez, like, being buddies with Xerxes would really give you job security, huh? In comparison, Leonidas is the opposite and would die for any one of his men. Leonidas serves his men and sees them as equals. He does not use them. Now we have a quote. "It is not the lash they fear, but my divine power." And not only does he exert his power, but he's happy to do some lashes. Then we get a bit of gaslighting. "You Greeks take pride in your logic. I suggest you employ it." So this is suggesting that how you're thinking is shamefully wrong, and you need to think like how I do. This is trying to, like, create self-doubt. Not to help or clarify, rather this is coming from a place of control. Controlling Leonidas' perception. And Leonidas says, "You have many slaves, but few warriors." So this is an observation and outlining the relationship dynamics that Xerxes has with his people, who he regards as slaves and expendable. So Xerxes chooses to ignore this criticism through passive denial. He makes a claim that he is a generous god and he can make Leonidas rich. So he's trying to persuade, and with promises of opportunities and financial gains. He thinks that wealth is what will sway him. However, they have a difference in their values. Leonidas remarking generosity being as great as his divinity, which is actually an insult, but Xerxes doesn't understand the joke and took it as a compliment, highlighting his arrogance. Xerxes is not really generous, nor does he have divinity, just a fake manufactured appearance. Then we have another quote. "They will kneel at your feet if you will but kneel at mine." So we're back to persuasion, trying to pull out whatever narcissism Leonidas may have. An attempt to sort of corrupt his mental system. So Xerxes is trying to set up a transactional relationship, because this is kind of what he's used to, whereby Xerxes makes sure he gets the better end of the deal, hoping that Leonidas would overlook the little things called slavery. Now there's a gesture, like a head lean and a bit of an eye roll, as Leonidas talks about slaughtering all of his men, and Xerxes isn't happy and losing patience. So breaking Leonidas wasn't as easy as he thought it would be, and he's stung by disappointment, and he is bracing himself to take it up a gear because of this arrogant level of entitlement that, and Xerxes not expecting to have such a pushback. So now frustrated, he remarks how there's going to be like no glory in your sacrifice, as if he gets to decide. He will erase every memory of Sparta from the histories. So this is posturing his greatness and extending his threats to things Leonidas may care about. Basically, your existence all gone, which is what he was going to do anyway by making him a slave. And uttering the very name of Sparta or Leonidas will be punishable by death. So censorship, oppression, and no truth tellers. Leonidas retorts with, the world will know that free men stood against a tyrant. And that's all that matters really. That few stood against the many. Not just men, but against the lies and doctrine. And before this battle was over, even a god king can bleed. So that's a shot at the mask, the narcissistic mask. And as a sort of translation, it's kind of saying that you're not as powerful as you think you are, and you are not immortal. Now a little note here is that notice is not like a body shot or even the center of the forehead to kill Xerxes. Leonidas wanted the shot to only injure his face, and in doing so it will inspire others, and that is the true victory for Leonidas. His mission was not really to kill Xerxes, it was to free mankind. And plus, Xerxes will have to live the rest of his life with a scar and a memory. For Xerxes, that's probably the worst kind of punishment he could receive. Even his own people would now look at him with uncertainty, and Xerxes would probably rather be dead than witness himself losing power and control. And all it took was a spear to give him a little nick and expose a fragile ego. So basically he kind of got punked by Leonidas, and the illusion shattered. Now gobsmacked and in shock, Xerxes panics and he reels. For a god king, he has some insecurities, whereas Leonidas doesn't as much as flinch and is not afraid of death. He can even crack a few jokes. For all that power and perceived divinity, there was nothing Xerxes could do. Leonidas could not be bribed, threatened, punished, broken. He already had what mattered to him, his home and his dignity. Not looking to gain, but only to serve and uphold. He is held together with his sense of duty, not dominance. Lesser men would take the Phausian deal and would selfishly want you to do the same. The battle was won long ago. It was the moment Leonidas decided to stand up. So in a kind of overall conclusion type of way, so Xerxes, he's a big, shiny tyrant. He enjoys his status, but really has no substance, no nobility. He tries to embody perfection and thinks he has glory that entitles him to get whatever he wants by simply making hollow transactions and emotional threats. He has to recruit other forces because the 300 Spartans are just too much for him to handle. How he thinks he can just erase history as if no one will notice fits in with a narcissistic need for control, to win, and shows how he's a very sore loser. It shows he doesn't really have the power he likes to think he has, and what ultimately matters to him is appearance. He uses fear to prey on people's insecurities and sees them as only serving his wants and needs. They're there to be exploited. As a result, he will not be missed, he will not be cherished or honored. And for his remaining years, the battle will continue inside his mind as he wrestles for control over his own self-esteem. So I hope you like this short character analysis. Feel free to drop a suggestion, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.